For decades, air travel was a two-horse race, Boeing from America and Airbus from Europe. They ruled the skies, leaving little room for challengers. But now, a new contender has emerged from China, aiming to rewrite the rules. This isn't just about another airplane, it's about power, ambition, and a dramatic shift in global influence. For 50 years, airlines had a simple choice: American or European jets. Now, the C919 from China is making the old giants nervous. The C919 is more than metal and wings, it's Beijing's bold statement: we're ready to compete. What seemed impossible a decade ago, a Chinese-made jet rivaling Boeing and Airbus, is now reality. Many doubted China could design and build a modern jetliner from scratch, but they underestimated a nation determined not just to join the race, but to lead it. The C919 story is one of ambition, obstacles, and a new world order taking shape. Fasten your seatbelts. This journey is just beginning. The question is no longer China will compete, but the world will change now that it does. For most of modern history, the sky belonged to two names, Boeing and Airbus. Airlines had a simple choice: Seattle for Boeing, Toulouse for Airbus. These two controlled nearly the entire market for large passenger jets. Their planes connected continents and powered the global economy. Building a modern jet requires billions in investment and decades of expertise. Boeing's legacy dates back to the dawn of flight. Airbus rose in the 1970s to challenge American dominance. Together they created a fortress: reliable planes, global support, and a cycle that was hard to break. Newcomers faced impossible odds, like trying to rival Facebook overnight. This duopoly let Boeing and Airbus set prices and pace innovation, giving their home countries prestige and power. For decades, it seemed unbreakable. The two giants danced, competing with each other, never expecting a serious outside threat. But they didn't count on a new power with even bigger ambitions. The stage was set for disruption. China was once Boeing and Airbus's biggest customer, but Beijing wanted more than just to buy planes. It wanted to build them. The C919 project was born, aiming to compete directly with the Boeing 737 and Airbus A320. Launched by state-owned Comac, the C919 targeted the world's most popular jet segment. Western experts doubted China could create a safe, efficient jet from scratch, especially since key parts like engines were sourced from the West. Despite skepticism, China pressed on, facing delays and technical hurdles. Many dismissed the C919 as a political statement, not a real commercial threat. But in 2023, the C919 entered service with China Eastern Airlines, a moment of national pride. The impossible had become reality: a Chinese jet carrying paying passengers. Initially flying domestic routes, the message was clear: China had built its own large passenger jet. The first step was taken, even if Western components remained. The world's giants began to watch with growing concern. The C919 was no longer a fantasy. China had put a plane in the sky. The race was on. As the C919 became real, Western attitudes shifted from amusement to concern. The US saw China's aviation ambitions as a threat to its technological and economic leadership. To slow China down, the US imposed sanctions and technology restrictions, targeting Chinese aerospace firms. The most critical vulnerability? The jet engine. The C919 relied on the LEAP-1C engine, made by a US-French partnership. The US made it harder for these engines to reach China, threatening to ground the C919. This exposed China's dependence on Western technology for its most vital component. The West's strategy: squeeze China's weak link and keep it reliant. For a moment, it looked like the C919 might become a grounded dream. China faced a stark choice: give up, or solve the engine problem itself. The world watched, expecting China to falter, but Beijing had other plans. The script was about to flip. The engine crisis became a turning point. China was determined to find its own solution. Cut off from Western engines, China launched a top-secret project to build its own, the Yangtze 1000A. Creating a modern jet engine is one of the toughest engineering feats, requiring new alloys, precision manufacturing, and advanced design. Led by the Aero Engine Corporation of China, engineers worked for years, learning, innovating, and overcoming thousands of hurdles. The goal: give the C919 a truly Chinese heart. This wasn't just about swapping parts, it was about mastering the crown jewel of industrial technology. Only a few nations can build such engines. China wanted to join that elite club. Western sanctions, meant to cripple China, only fueled its determination. By late 2023, the C919 was no longer a secret. Prototypes were built, and test flights began. The C919, once dependent on the West, now had a homegrown engine. The world was stunned. The engine problem, once China's greatest weakness, was turning into its greatest triumph. The roar of the C919 signaled a new era. China had met the challenge head-on. The dream of independence was within reach. The C919 marked a turning point. China was no longer just a follower, but an innovator. For years, China was the world's factory, not its laboratory. The West was comfortable with this, believing China could assemble but not invent. But building a jet engine requires deep science, new materials, and advanced manufacturing. No shortcuts, no copying. The C919 proved China had built a world-class innovation ecosystem. The implications are huge. Technology is power, and the balance is shifting. Sanctions meant to protect Western dominance backfired, forcing China to become stronger and more independent. The lesson: never rely on rivals for critical tech. Now the C919 can be offered with either a Western or Chinese engine, giving China leverage and independence. This transforms the C919 from a curiosity into a true competitor. The student is now ready to challenge the teacher. China's strategy is clear: innovate, not imitate. The world must take notice. The game has changed. With the C919 and its own engine, China isn't stopping. It's aiming even higher. The next project, the C929, a wide-body jet to rival the Boeing 787 and Airbus A350. This plane will fly the world's longest, most prestigious routes. Originally a joint project with Russia, China is now leading the C929 effort. The goal: carry nearly 300 passengers across continents, powered by a new, even larger Chinese engine, the CJ2000. China is building not just planes, but a complete aviation industry, a family of aircraft and engines just like Boeing and Airbus. This long-term vision makes China a serious competitor. It's not about one plane, it's about global leadership in aerospace. Billions more will be invested, but the direction is clear. Chinese planes powered by Chinese engines flying worldwide, that's the future China is planning. The C919 was just the beginning. The C929 is the next chapter. The race for the skies is only getting started. The C919's arrival, especially with a Chinese engine, has ended the Boeing-Airbus duopoly. We're entering a new era of three-way competition. For the first time in 50 years, airlines have a real third choice. More competition could mean lower prices for planes and maybe even cheaper tickets for passengers. COMAC will likely undercut Boeing and Airbus to win market share, forcing the giants to respond. But this isn't just about price, it's about politics. Countries aligned with China may buy the C919, others may stick with Western jets. The choice of airplane could become a political statement. Boeing and Airbus can no longer take their dominance for granted. They'll need to innovate faster and listen to customers. The rise of COMAC will push everyone to be better. The race for the skies is now more intense than ever. The real winner: choice and competition. The C919's story is more than a tale about a plane. It's a symbol of a changing world. The old order, where Western nations held all the cards, is ending. China has proven it can challenge the giants and forge its own path. The script is flipped. China is now writing its own story in the sky. More competition means better products, lower prices, and faster innovation. For travelers, it could mean more choice and affordable flights. For the industry, it's a time of great change and uncertainty. The comfortable duopoly is gone, replaced by a fierce three-way battle. This contest will shape global trade, technology, and travel for decades. The race to dominate the skies is a proxy for a larger contest for global influence. The center of technological gravity is shifting. Next time you're at an airport, look for a new name: COMAC. The race is on, and who will own the future is still up in the air. One thing's certain: it's going to be a fascinating contest to watch.